It's been 18 months, but we've been in our house for 7 years, but the planning process with Rock City's been 18 months, and it's really exciting to finally get things off the ground. And standing here looking at all the bricks and the rubble, it's like, yes, our dreams are finally going to be realised.
I think we feel committed at this stage. There's no turning back now, no. Half your house is in bricks in the back garden. It's exciting. It's been a long process. It started off just with ideas around what we might want from the house. And we really got in touch and started to use an architect just to really have someone to help us through that process, to help us think about the decisions and the questions. And so it's a fairly easy process to go through the design. And then of course you've got planning to go through. So it's been a long journey, but it's good to be here.
We were talking to friends about their experiences with building and builders and architects, and you hear the horror stories about choosing the wrong architects and the wrong builders, and they ended up having to redo work, or the builder's gone bust, and in your mind you're trying to figure out what the right approach and combination of builders are for yourself, and through all these conversations with friends, trying to take some learnings and make the right decisions.
There's one of my colleagues,
recommended us.
I was talking to him, I was actually on a business trip with him in America, and said, we're about to start going on this sort of renovation journey. And he said, well, you could do worse than talking to my builder. They're just finishing our renovation. It's been a fantastic experience. They've delivered a really quality product. They were great to work with. I couldn't recommend them more highly. Got their contact details from Chris, rang Rock City, and they recommended we talk to Georgie as the architect. So that's really where the process started. Gave Georgie a ring and away we went.
And one of the things they did do up front was they organised for us to have a look at some of their completed work, and so their contacts and let us into their house, and that was really reassuring to see that quite a few people were so pleased with their finished homes that they were willing to invite us in and see their work and recommend them to us. No, it wasn't a normal process. I guess the fact that they spoke with such confidence and was obviously so pleased with their finished home that, and they had themselves talked about how easy the process had been, and then that they had had a few hiccups before they had teamed up with the builders, that we thought, well, we must go and investigate. If we're at the exploratory stage, then we'll have to talk to the guys as well.
There's two things about building your renovation or your house. One is you've got to be happy with your architect and feel that they're sort of building your dream, not necessarily just theirs. And the other thing is you've got to be happy with your builder. And Chris and Lorraine both said two things about the builder. One was the quality of the finished product, and the other was the process of working with them was good as well. And I think they actually were going to talk to them about some further work, so
sure.
You can't get a higher recommendation than that.
And one of the things we were trying to avoid was that, with speaking with friends, they'd said that they had their draftsman or architect make some plans that they were really happy with, and had mentioned that they would be in a specific budget, and then they'd taken them to some builders to quote, and the builders had quoted way above what their anticipated budget was, and then they're back to square one. And Chris and Lorraine had sort of said that with the builders they'd managed to be quite upfront and confident about the budgets they were working with. Obviously their quality of their work and craftsmanship, but also that communication and that confidence that you're both on the same page, and it's that relationship and working process that is fundamentally important.
Yeah, I think you have to have a measure of trust going into this as well. You're going to spend a lot of money, and so you want to be confident you've made the right decision about the people you're going to invest in to help build your dream, essentially. Firstly, they were all very open, and getting them involved in the design process was something that new, I think, and people we know with renovations have not had the experience of the builder involved in the design process, and that meant that as we went through that process they were able to advise on particular decisions or the implications of the things we were looking for. And so I think having that open and honest communication and that engendered a lot of trust in them as we went through the process. I figured you engage an architect, get them to help you with the designs, then you will go to council and you'll get your sort of approvals, and then you're going to go to tender, and you're probably going to get back 3 quotes that we won't know how to pick between them, so that's going to cost us more money, it's going to take a lot more time, and I think that's also a time when I'd be quite worried about it. We've got a budget, we know going into this, but what we don't know is whether what we're building is within the budget. And then you go to a fairly opaque process. So that was what we thought would happen. And you hear, obviously, all the stories from people who've gone through the builds. It's always people who've had bad builds who talk more around constant variations and cost blowouts and time blowouts and everything else. So I'd say we were fairly nervous going into this process to start with. But the way Georgie and Builders of Architecture, it was a new approach. And we felt it would give us a bit more certainty as we went through the process as well, more robust process.
Working up front with the builders, Adam and Craig, as well as our architects, we're tossing around ideas at the very start about configurations and rooms and the big construction, and we're all sort of putting forward our ideas and having input and resolving potential issues and raising concerns for the other party, and so all of that gets resolved as you go along, and so there's less surprises. And then we did have the opportunity, Craig and Adam have said all along that of course you have the opportunity to go out to tender, but what of course we have with them, we already have this trust. They've already been talking budgets with us, and so it made that decision not to go to tender much easier because we already have that confidence. They've already said that they are happy, they think they can realise our dreams while working within the budgets we've been mentioning. So it just made the decision not to tender to that much easier.
We kind of knew what we were getting into. They were confident in what they could do. We'd been through our process together.
We'd seen examples of their work.
If we went out to tender, we're taking a step into the unknown. We're going to get people we don't know involved in the process.
They don't know the architect, and they don't have all that familiarity with all of the discussions.
And it's going to take a lot of time. We've already been going for 18 months. We kind of want to get on with it. We're happy with the builder we've got. We're happy with the quotes, which, given their involvement, are probably going to be pretty accurate compared to someone who just sees the plans for the first time. And we just want to get on with it. And so we felt we had no reason to go to tender, basically.
We're quietly confident that it's all going well. We're really pleased to be here amongst the construction, and just seeing what we've been talking about for so long being realised.
We're at an early stage of the build, but so far everything's gone to plan, and so we're so far so good. We're happy with the decision.
We've had our first couple of meetings, and that's all gone well, and we're ticking off the milestones, and we're pleased. The confidence in that the design plans will be realised in the construction work, the confidence in the budgets and the accuracy of those, and in the timelines as well. It's the assurance, really.
It's been really proactive. They've been very involved right from the start. They've provided good advice. And I think also knowing that our architect has that channel to go to them as she's going through the design process, she's going to be designing something that's buildable. So I think that's having that voice of experience in the design process is priceless.
And I think also, once again, having that opportunity to see other homes completed by them and seeing the quality of their work and all the joinery and the cabinetry and the kitchens and all the details throughout each room.
Yeah.
Really pleasing.
And they're nice guys. They're easy to talk to. And they've always made themselves available if we want to talk and ask any questions around the process. They're not distant, they're very involved.
And really responsive.
Yeah.
I keep saying to our girls, we've got 2 girls, that we can't wait for it to be finished so that we can get back into our house and get on with living the way we had envisaged our lifestyle to be, because before we had like a 70s kitchen and the living room's over there and we're screaming at each other up the hallway, and so Matt and I have had this vision of how we wanted to live, and we just can't wait to get into our new home and get on with it, just get on with living. So once the build is finished, just start having dinner parties and
I thought you were going to talk about moving in with your father-in-law.
drinks.
That's what it really means at the minute. When we bought this house, we knew it would need a renovation. And so as the girls have grown, there's been lots of compromises. The girls have shared a room, which has been good while they're growing up, but is not going to be so good in a few years. As Asina said, the house wasn't everything we wanted. We knew it had good bones, but it wasn't configured how we wanted it. And so what we want to do is build the house that we want the kids to grow up in and we want to live in. And so to be on that journey is just fantastic for the family. And the kids are really excited about what their new rooms are going to look like, and they want to have input into some of those design decisions. Yep. So, yeah, it's exciting for everyone. I think there was a mix-up the structural engineer made, which resulted in some change to foundations. But again, the guys were really quick in coming to us with that. They were very upfront on what happened, and they also, importantly, didn't just come with a problem, they came with a solution. And they've obviously invested in fixing that as well. Started with the builder, which is odd because I think as we'd gone through that process originally, we'd actually met a few architects. I don't think any of the conversation we had with those architects really filled us with confidence because we felt they came with very preconceived ideas of what they wanted to build rather than particularly asking us what we wanted. As we met Adam and Craig, they said, you should go to an architect. I think one of my first questions to them was, we sort of know what we want. Should we just go to a draftsman or should we go to an architect? And they said, you should go to an architect. You'll get a much, much better outcome. And Georgie is the one we usually work with, so have a chat to Georgie. So we organised for Georgie to come round, have an initial chat. And we just felt, I think, when we met her, firstly, she listened very carefully to what we wanted. She took the brief on board. She asked the right questions. And secondly, we felt that she was someone we could work with, essentially. We thought as we go along, we'll probably have some difficult conversation at the time. We felt that it would be easy to deal with Georgie on those, and again, we could build a good working relationship with her.
And we could see that Adam and Craig had a good working relationship with Georgie too. Yeah. Adam and Craig have explained sort of their working process, and that we'll have regular site meetings at which the architect will come to. So they will talk about what's been completed to date, what's coming up, what needs to be ordered, what decisions need to be made. So it's quite clear that all along the way that we will be informed, and if any issues arise, they will be dealt with at the time. I'm confident it will be fairly smooth and hopefully stick to our timelines. Adam
and Craig are also always sort of looking for ways to make the building experience better for everyone, really. And so one of the things they've done is started to use some software, and that holds the full schedule of the build. It has photographs in it, it has minutes of all the meetings, and it's just it brings a lot of transparency to the build process. We don't just go to meetings every 2 weeks and we're told what's going on. I can log into the system.
See the photos every day. It's great.
The guys working on site post photos every day, so we almost feel like we're there, and we have a lot of transparency as to what tasks are coming up, where the dependencies are, all these kind of things. I'm really confident in the process to come, really because of the way Adam and Craig are going around it.
Even though we're still at the brick stage, we're already, as a group, talking about finishings and how one decision influences another, and when we need to order tiles and tapware, and it's great. We can see it all. At the start, it was very hard for me to visualize the finished home. But even now, in these early days, I can already see in my mind how it should look, and that is because of both Adam and Craig and Georgie all talking together about how the house will look. I think that maybe sometimes the architect just has the plan, it gets handed to the builder, and you just got to have your fingers crossed that it will look nice at the end. As you, even though you're forking out all this money for it, sometimes it is hard to visualise.
Yep.
But we've got a really good grasp of
what's going on
and what it's going to look like at the end.
And I think as we go into this now, it's not just about Adam and Craig now. They bring a team with them. And they've been really good around introducing the team to us and saying, for this you go to Zach, for this you go to Tom, for this you go to Mick. So whatever question we've got, we know who to go to for that. Little vignettes. So something to our future selves.
I guess it is just touching on what we just said before. At this stage, I have in my mind's eye exactly how the house will look, thanks to Adam and Craig and Georgie. I'm confident that it is going to plan. I realise there'll be a few hiccups along the way, as there is with any project, but there's this assurance that we'll be able to resolve whatever comes up, and we'll have a wonderful house and a home at the end of the experience.
So yeah, I'm sure we will. I hope we feel as good about it at the end as we do now.
Yeah.
Cool. I'll keep those and add them together just for you guys.
And then we say, do not recommend these builders at the end.
I'll be like, Matt, just keep looking at the spreadsheet when Athena's buying fittings.
It's actually a good little check-in, just a little reminder that voice like when we say, oh, that's right, we've got lost in the other detail of it.
Stop shopping in Armidale. The main thing is that going into this sort of construction project is scary, particularly if you've never done it before. Having confidence in the team you're doing it with is, you can't really put a price on that. You can put a price on the build, you can't put a price on the team you choose to do it with, and we're really happy with the choice we've made.
Because so far people talk about sleepless nights. I don't think we haven't had that level of stress yet. Fingers crossed.
Yet.